Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to part 2. That is the lecture number 2 for my dear class 11 students from the highest weightage, most scoring chapter, photosynthesis in higher plants. And today we are going to discuss about chloroplast, action spectrum, absorption spectrum, and the pigment systems. So this is yet another super important class from where the questions can be asked for your NEET examination. So three topics we will be discussing about the chloroplast, about the spectrum, about the pigment systems. Okay, so let's have a look at the weightage of this chapter or this topic. Yes, in the last class itself, I have told you and taught you about early experiments of photosynthesis is an already completed topic. And today we are going to take out where does photosynthesis takes place and how many pigments or which all are the pigments involved in photosynthesis. So let's have a look at both of these topics. What are the weightage of these two topics? Where does photosynthesis takes place? The weightage is 7%. That is, in the last 8 years, 7% of the questions from photosynthesis have came from this topic, site of photosynthesis. And look, the most important one again, that is 22% of the question or 22% of the chapters question will be asked from how many pigments are involved in photosynthesis will be the part from where you'll expect more number of questions. Okay, so let's discuss today's class with very important mind or important state of mind. On tomorrow, that is on December 3rd, we'll have a rank booster test on transport in plants and mineral nutrition, 90 questions, so stay tuned. So let's move on to today's topic, that is chloroplast and pigment systems. So let's have to discuss, first of all, right from the beginning of this chapter onwards, we have been discussing about chloroplast. So right now in today's class, we'll be discussing what is this chloroplast and what is its function. So as you all know, inside a plant cell, you all know a plant cell, it is a peculiar feature of the plant cell to have a cell wall, along with another peculiar feature that the plant cell only possesses is the presence of plastid. Right, is the presence of plastid. So exactly like that, inside the plastid, you have also learned in the chapter Cell, the Unit of Life, about the three different kinds of plastids even. Chloroplast, chromoplast, and leucoplast you have studied over there. So in this chapter, or the plastid that is associated with photosynthesis is the chloroplast. And inside the structure of chloroplast, you'll find the green colored pigment, which you have been studying or hearing the term from the very lower class onwards. That is the chlorophyll, and also the carotenoid pigments are also present inside the chloroplast. Clear, everyone? So inside the chloroplast, so this double membranous structure, so always remember chloroplast is a double membranous structure. Chloroplast is a double membranous structure that contains the green colored pigment called chlorophyll, which is a very, very important one. Okay, the pigment, what is the main function of this chlorophyll? In your lower classes, you'll be studying that they will be giving green color to the leaf, but it's not the function of chlorophyll or chloroplast. The main function of chloroplast or chlorophyll is it helps in the trapping of light energy for photosynthesis. That is, it will absorb the light. It will absorb the sunlight coming from the sun that helps the plant to undergo the process of photosynthesis. Is topic up to this clear? So 3 points that we have studied. Chloroplast is containing, or chloroplast contains a green colored pigments. Chlorophyll along with carotenoid pigments are also present, and these pigments are involved in trapping the sunlight for photosynthesis. Yes, whatever diagram we draw, we'll draw the we'll draw the chloroplast in an oval shape. Am I right? Yes. So chloroplast does not only occur in an oval shape, it does not occur only in an oval shape, but it can occur in different shape. Okay, it can occur in a variety of shape, such as the chloroplast can be cup shaped in certain organism, it can be girdle shaped, it can be ribbon shaped, it can be oval shaped as well. So since we are studying about the plant physiology, we'll be having a detailed study on this oval shaped chloroplast or the plant chloroplast. And you have to study where are these chloroplasts found. Inside the leaf, that you know, but inside the leaf, in which part of the leaf you will find the chloroplast. So just study right now, chloroplast is found in the mesophyll cells. Okay, chloroplast is found in the mesophyll cells inside the leaf. Right now, sometimes few of you might not be understanding what is this mesophyll layer and all, but when we complete the chapter anatomy in flowering plants, you will come to know what is this mesophyll layer. There you'll study about the anatomy of root, stem and leaf. Okay, so you just have to study chloroplasts are found in the mesophyll cells inside the leaves. And there are different shape, lens shaped chloroplast is there, oval shaped is there, spherical is there, discoid is there, ribbon like is there. So various kinds of chloroplast depending upon the shape is present around us. Clear? Next, chloroplast, as I've already mentioned, it is a double membranous structure. So chloroplast is a double membranous structure. Just study this as well. Chloroplast is a semi-autonomous cell organelle. 1 second, I'll write it. Chloroplast is a semi-autonomous cell organelle. What do you mean by semi-autonomous? Semi-autonomous cell organelle means that chloroplasts have its self DNA or its own DNA molecule. Mitochondria is even another semi-autonomous cell organelle, so they have their self machinery. You might have heard about autonomous colleges. What does that mean? They're not coming under any university. They have the right to decide their college aspect. So similarly, semi-autonomous means these also have their own self mechanisms. Why? Because they have their own DNA molecules, so they have their own DNA for carrying out the purposes. So chloroplast, 2 points I have told you. Chloroplast is a double membranous structure, and you will see the space limited by the inner membrane of the chloroplast is called the stroma region. Okay, so space limited by the inner membrane of the chloroplast is known as the stromal region. So let's have a very narrow study about the structure of chloroplast. I'll just draw a diagram for you to just get it understand. Listen very carefully. So this is the outermost. Okay, I'm enlarging it and drawing. So this is the outermost part. Okay, so inside to that you will find another structure as well. Okay, this is another structure which you will find inside that. 1 second, let me enlarge that for you. Yes. So you'll find another structure over there as well. Okay. So inside each of this, that is the region inside this particular, this is the outer membrane of the chloroplast. This is the inner membrane of the chloroplast. So towards the inner region of the inner membrane of the chloroplast, you'll find a matrix over there. Okay, you'll find a matrix over there. Let me just simply, I'm just telling you. Okay, this region. Okay, this region which I'm telling you, this region. So this inner region is actually simply over there. So this inner region, you will call them as the stroma. Clear? I'll write it again. So this inner region, you will call them as the stroma. Oh my God. Okay, that is actually what is mentioned over here. So just simply, I'll just tell the structure. Oh my God. Yes. Listen carefully, everyone. So inside this particular, so this inner space is known as the stroma. Okay. So inside this stack like structures, that is just like coins arranged like a stack. So just like that, how the coins are arranged, you will see certain structures inside that. So that structures you will call them as the granum. Okay, what you will call the structures, this structure totally or completely this structure, you will call them as the grana or granum. Clear? And the single coin like structure, the single coin like structure, you will call them as what? Thylakoid. What you will call them as? You will call them as thylakoid. Clear? So these two granums, they are interconnected by lamellae. Okay, like stromal lamellae or whatever, you can just clear. So once again, just telling about the structure. So there is an outer membrane to the chloroplast. There is an inner membrane to the chloroplast. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so there is an outer membrane. There is an inner membrane like this. Outer membrane, inner membrane. Inside that you will find coins arranged like stack-like structure. So that you will call them as the granum. And each thing you will call them as the thylakoid. They are interconnected by the stromal lamellae, and the space inside the inner membrane you will call them as the stroma. So very easy structure, from the diagram itself you can get it. Okay, a number of organized flattened membranous sac, which is known as the thylakoids, are present in the stroma. So inside the stroma you will find the stack-like structures, membranous flattened structures arranged inside the arranged inside the stroma, which you will call them as the thylakoid. Thylakoids are arranged in stacks like piles of coin called grana. So simply this you will call them as a thylakoid. So one or two thylakoids will combine together to give a structure which is known as the grana. Clear? So simplified diagram again, that is the outer membrane is there and inner membrane is there. That is why chloroplasts you will call them as the double membranous cell organelle. So that is why double membranous cell organelle. You will have a grana over there, which is actually the site of light reaction. We'll discuss in the upcoming class what is light reaction and what is dark reaction. So grana is the site of light reaction. So as I've already mentioned, light reaction means it is actually the kind of reaction which is taking part in inside the chloroplast that leads to the formation of energy-rich compounds like ATP and NADPH. Whereas stroma is the region of dark reaction. Stroma is the region or the site of dark reaction where actually this already formed ATP and NADPH are utilized to prepare glucose. So dark reaction is the process by which the glucose is formed. So for a photosynthesis process, both light and dark reactions should happen over there. Okay. Yes. And inside the chapter cell, the unit of life, we have already studied that inside cell organelle, that is ribosome is an organelle within an organelle. That is inside the chloroplast and mitochondria, you will find the ribosomes with 70S structure. Okay. Inside the chloroplast and mitochondria, you will find ribosomes with this that is a prokaryotic structure, or 70S ribosomes can be seen. Okay. So chlorophyll pigments, so the conclusion, chlorophyll pigments are present inside the thylakoid membrane. Clear? So you are first of all considering a plant cell. Inside the plant cell, you will have the chloroplast. Inside the chloroplast, you'll have the granum, and each granum is made up of number of thylakoid structures. Clear? So that's actually the illustration of this diagram. Next. we have already learned that, we also know that, or we have already learned that instead of having chlorophyll only or the green color pigment only, you'll have carotenoid pigments as well. So chlorophyll is not that is simply, it's not a single one, that is chlorophyll. It has certain molecules like chlorophyll A. You've studied in plant kingdom. Talophytes, in chlorophytes, you'll have chlorophyll A and B. Then phyophytes, you'll have chlorophyll A and C. Then coming on to rhodophytes, you'll have chlorophyll A and D. So simply like that, in plants, you will have chlorophyll A, which is a bright or blue-green color. Chlorophyll B, which is yellow-green in color, and xanthophylls, yellow in color. And finally, you'll have carotenoids, which is ranging from yellow to yellow-orange in color. So there are 4 main pigments associated with photosynthesis in a plant. So you'll learn about this technique in your chemistry syllabus for class 12 about the paper chromatography. So a chromatography, you know that chromatographic method is actually used to separate colors. So a paper chromatographic method is actually used for the separation of a color from the leaf. Okay, that we see in leaf is not due to a single pigment but due to 4 different pigments, that is chlorophyll A, bright or blue-green in color, chlorophyll B, yellow-green in color, xanthophyll, yellow in color, and carotenoids, yellow to yellow-orange in color. Look, chlorophyll A, bright or blue-green in color. Chlorophyll B, it is actually yellow-green in color. Xanthophyll, yellow in color, and carotenoid, yellow-orange in color, or yellow-orange in its appearance. So just like this, when we crush a leaf and we'll have the chromatographic method, you'll see that separation from the same a single leaf, you will have separation of 4 different colors. Next is a very, very important topic from where the question will definitely be asked for your exams. That is about a new concept, that is the photosynthetic pigment. Photosynthetic pigment. So photosynthetic pigment, coming on, you will learn that chlorophyll A, okay, the chlorophyll A molecule. Chlorophyll A molecule is the main pigment, okay, or the head of the department for carrying out the process of photosynthesis. So chlorophyll A is the major or the main pigment involved in the process of photosynthesis. If there is no chlorophyll A, photosynthesis won't takes place. So chlorophyll A, you must study the color bright or blue-green in color. It is the main pigment. Chlorophyll B, which is yellow-green in color, carotenoid pigments, yellow to orange, and xanthophylls, yellow in color. So there is a slight variation over here. That is, these 3 pigments, you can call them as the accessory pigments. Chlorophyll B, carotenoids, and the xanthophylls can be called as the accessory pigments, whereas chlorophyll A is the main pigment. So I'll give you a rough diagram over here. Look, this is the chlorophyll A. This is how the pigment molecules are arranged inside the chloroplast. Okay. So this is a chlorophyll A molecule. Chlorophyll A molecule. So surrounding this particular chlorophyll A molecule, you will find the accessory pigments. This is the reaction center. You'll call the chlorophyll A as the reaction center. So around the reaction center, you will have the accessory pigments getting surrounded. Clear? So you'll find not like this. You'll find like chlorophyll. It can be accessory pigments, can be chlorophyll B. It can be carotenoids, it can be xanthophylls. And what is the function of this accessory pigments? The main function, or without accessory pigments also chloroplast, or sorry, photosynthesis will never happen. Why? Because what is the main function of this accessory pigments? What is its function? The accessory pigments helps in absorbing the sunlight. Clear? Whatever be the pigments, the sunlight coming from the sun is actually absorbed by this particular. So they will absorb the sunlight and they will pass this light energy like this into the reaction center or the chlorophyll A molecule. Okay. Actually, guys, photosynthesis is actually taking place due to the excitation or the presence of electron. So as these energy from the sunlight is falling onto the chlorophyll A molecule, free electrons will be emitted. So electrons is going to get it emitted. Okay, from this chlorophyll A molecule, some electrons will be excited, and due to the flow of that electron, you will have different procedures or different processes happening in the photosynthesis method. So that's it. So the sunlight, you will, since the sunlight is coming as a packet of energy, you will call them as the photon. Chlorophyll A molecule is known as a reaction center, and the accessory molecules are known as the pigment molecules. Okay, so as I have already mentioned, the electrons excited from this chlorophyll A molecule or this reaction center will be excited, and that electron will be accepted by the primary electron acceptor. Okay, primary electron acceptor. So as a whole, you will call them as a light harvesting complex. Okay, so together you will call them as what? The light harvesting complex. So the solar energy is captured by the photosynthetic pigments. Different types of pigments participate in the photosynthesis, but the major pigment is the chlorophyll molecule. Okay, and we have studied about the type of photosynthetic pigment. So in between, I'll take a pause, like when there is a lot of background noise coming up. Clear? That is why in between you'll find a break or a blink in the screen. Clear? Because some work, as you all know, some work is happening around. So due to the sounds, you'll get it disturbed. So I'll pause for a moment, then we'll have it. Okay? When the background sound raises above my voice. Clear? So there are four main types of photosynthetic pigments as well: chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, carotenoids, and the xanthophyll molecule. About the photosynthetic pigments, or the location of this photosynthetic pigments, is where we are going to study in a eukaryotic photosynthetic organism like plants, protists, then algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, all those things. They are present inside the thylakoid membrane of the chloroplast. Whereas in prokaryotic photosynthetic organism like blue-green algae and all, you'll find them in the infoldings of the plasma membrane. Yes, that's your homework. Do comment in the comment section what you will call them, what you will call the infoldings of the plasma membrane. Okay, infoldings of the plasma membrane is known as, when we studied about the cell, the unit of life, there we have studied this is the cell wall, and inside the cell wall you will find the plasma membrane. Then in the prokaryotic cell, which is analogous, which is serving all the functions of all other cell organelles in the eukaryotes, like mitochondria, serving the function of mitochondria, will find this kinds of invagination. So do just let me know about that, what is known as the infoldings of the plasma membrane. Okay, so chlorophyll structure, as we studied in mineral nutrition, chlorophyll molecule consists of which molecule? Magnesium molecule, or magnesium is the atomic structure present inside the chloroplast. So you'll have a ring-like structure with magnesium at its center like this. So this is the structure. You don't have to focus on the structure. It's not mentioned in the NCERT even. So magnesium is present as a central atom or metal ion in the chlorophyll molecule, and you will have a tail part as well. A phytol tail part or side chain as well in the chlorophyll structure. So towards the end, we'll revise all the topic once again. So before coming on to the action and absorption spectrum, let us recap what all we have learned so far. So we started with the slide that is a chloroplast contains chlorophyll and carotenoid pigments. And what is the main function of these pigments? They are helpful for the process of photosynthesis by trapping out the sunlight. The chloroplasts are generally found in the mesophyll cells of the leaf, and the topic of mesophyll cells or location of mesophyll cells will be clear to you when we study the anatomy of flowering plants chapter. And this chloroplast, we only know, or we study about only an oval shaped chloroplast in the plant, but you'll have a wide range of chloroplast shape, like it can be lens shape, it can be spherical shape, it can be discoid, or even it can be ribbon-like structure. And Chloroplast will be double membranous, semi-autonomous cell organelle, and you will have an outer membrane, inner membrane. The inner fluid, that is inner matrix of the chloroplast, you will call them as the stroma, and stroma is the site of dark reaction or the process which utilizes the energy-rich compounds like ATP and NADPH, and they will prepare the glucose or whatever product is required. Okay. Then we studied about the thylakoids and about the grana, which is a site of light reaction. A group of thylakoid together, they will form the grana. Okay. And the chlorophyll pigments are present inside the thylakoid. Inside a plant cell, you will find a chloroplast. Inside the chloroplast, you will find stack-like structures. As the entire structure, you'll call them as the granum. And each structure that make up the granum, you will call them as the thylakoid. After that, we studied. Till now, we have only a misconception regarding that the leaf is only green color, so only chlorophyll will be present. No, it's not like that. When you take a leaf for paper chromatographic method, you'll have the separation of the colors taking part over there. You'll find chlorophyll A molecule with a bright or blue-green in color, chlorophyll B molecule with a yellow-green in color, xanthophyll molecule yellow in color, carotenoid with a yellow to yellow-orange shade in color. We studied chlorophyll A is the main pigment or the reaction center of photosynthesis, and the other chlorophyll B, carotenoid, xanthophyll, all those serve as the accessory pigments. In eukaryotic organisms, photosynthetic pigment is found in the thylakoid membrane, whereas in prokaryotes, they are found on the infoldings of the plasma membrane. Chlorophyll has its magnesium atom as its metal ion in its center of the porphyrin ring. Next, we have to learn about the next part, that is the action and absorption spectrum. Action and absorption spectrum, you don't have to study in a very detailed way, just you have to listen over here. That is, photosynthetic pigments absorb electromagnetic radiation in the visible and the infrared region. So mainly this photosynthetic pigments, like you will be knowing different rays like gamma rays, you will be knowing about the X-rays, radio waves, microwaves, visible light, ultraviolet, UV light, IR, then in the visible region, like this you will be knowing different. So mainly the chlorophyll molecule, that is the photosynthetic pigment, will absorb light coming from the visible region and from the infrared region and not any other regions. Okay, so similarly, like that, you will have the absorption spectrum. We'll draw a spectrum that is splitting up of the colors. We are going to draw a graph based on that. So based on the graph showing the degree of absorption of light by a pigment as a function of wavelength. So with respect to wavelength and degree, how much degree each of these molecules is absorbing the light, you'll find that chlorophyll molecule, sorry guys. So suppose if we write like WIPGOR over here from the visible region, like this, simply I'm just drawing it for you. Then you will see that the chlorophyll molecule, okay, one second. Yes, then you will see that for the chlorophyll molecule, like chlorophyll A is there, chlorophyll B is there depicted over here. They will strongly absorb light coming in the blue, violet, and red region. Look at these. Look, chlorophyll A, let's look at first. This is a blue one, that is a violet blue region, and finally you will have them in the red region also. They will absorb maximum amount of light. And when it comes to the chlorophyll B molecule, which is depicted by the green line, violet blue region shows the maximum absorption, and also the red region also shows absorption. Okay, strong absorption. Whereas when you come on to the carotenoid pigments, you will absorb, or you'll see that they absorb light mainly in the blue-green region. Carotenoids depicted by the yellow region, that is blue-green, like exactly like blue-green region, you will find maximum absorption. Okay, so that is what is the absorption spectrum. So you must study absorption of light by chloroplast pigments. This was a previous year Neet question. 3 graphs you have to study. 3 graphs have been mentioned in the NCERT. You must pay attention towards the 3 different graphs. So what are the main pigments or main colors that are absorbed strongly by chlorophyll molecules? Blue, violet, and red lights. Whereas carotenoids, blue and green regions of light is strongly absorbed. Coming on to the next graph shown, rate of photosynthesis, which is measured by the oxygen release, has been shown in the graph. So coming on to that, action spectrum, a graph showing the degree to which different wavelength affect the photochemical reaction, that is, which all wavelength of light affects the photosynthesis reaction or the photochemical reaction. And how can you measure the action spectrum? It can be measured by the measurements of oxygen evolution at different wavelength. Okay, red towards a red region, maximum evolution, and towards the initial also you will have violet blue region, violet blue green regions also you will have the maximum evolution of oxygen. That means maximum photosynthesis happens in the violet blue regions as well as in the red region of light. So absorption spectrum and action spectrum of chlorophyll A overlaps each other. Hence, chlorophyll A is the chief pigment associated with the process of photosynthesis. So the black line shown will show the rate of photosynthesis and the blue color shows the absorption of sunlight. So as we have already learned, or as I have already told you, pigment protein complex, it's a pigment system. It is also known as the photosystem. Okay, you must study this. Pigment system is also known as the photosystem. Pigment system or the photosystem. It consists of a complex, antennae complex, and a photochemical reaction center, which is the chlorophyll molecule. Chlorophyll A molecule is the reaction center, whereas the accessory pigments comes under the class of antennae molecule. So look, photon, as I've already told you, the sunlight, instead of writing it like the sunlight, we'll call them as the photons. So photons will show, that is the photons energy coming in the form of photons, they will be absorbed by the accessory molecule and they will be passed on. Okay, the accessory molecule, and they will be passed on to the reaction center, which is the chlorophyll A molecule. From the reaction center, electrons are excited and it is accepted by a primary electron acceptor. So in the next class, we learn about which all are the electron acceptors. Clear? And which all are the electron donors as well. So pigments are organized into 2 kinds, that is photopigment system number 1 and photopigment system number 2. Or simply you can call them as photosystem 1 and photosystem 2, or PS1 and PS2. So why you call them, why are they of 2 kinds, that is photosystem 1 or photopigment system number 1, PS1, photopigment system 2 or PS2. Each photosystem has a chlorophyll A molecule and an accessory pigments bounded by protein. Why are they named photopigment system 1 and 2? In the sequence of their discovery also, and how can we distinguish between them based upon the wavelength of light that they absorb. Photopigment system 1 will absorb light of wavelength 700 nanometer and photopigment system 2 will absorb light only of the wavelength 680 nanometer. So all pigments except one molecule of chlorophyll A form the light harvesting complex or the antennae molecule. Since chlorophyll A will act as the reaction center, very, very important. So which is the reaction center and which is forming the antennae molecule, very important. PS1 means it is actually the reaction center that absorbs light at a wavelength of 700 nanometer. So we will call them as photopigment system 700 or P700. Photopigment system 2 or photosystem 2 will absorb light of wavelength 680 nanometer. So you will call them as P680. So simply whenever there is written PS1, thing that should suddenly come to your mind is it absorbs light of wavelength 700 nanometer. And PS2 means it absorbs light of wavelength 680 nanometer. These are the two important points that should come to your mind when you remember about the PS1 and the PS2 molecule. So these are the two important points which you have to study when you come across this chapter or in this topic. So today we learn about two photopigment systems, that is PS1, which absorbs a light of wavelength 700 nanometer, and PS2, which absorbs a light of wavelength 680 nanometer. In the upcoming class, when we discuss about the light reaction, dark reaction, photophosphorylation, there I'll be speaking like PS1, then automatically you must understand like it will absorb the light of wavelength 700 nanometer. And when I talk or when I say PS2, that the thing should come to your mind, it absorbs the light of wavelength 680 nanometer. And reaction center, whenever I'm speaking, the thing that must come to your mind is it is a chlorophyll A molecule. Then the antennae complex, then it consists of chlorophyll B, xanthophylls or carotenoid or whatever that comes under the light harvesting complex or the accessory pigment molecule. See you in the next class with the next part of this chapter. Bye bye guys.